me want to dance, Mark. It just makes me want to, I mean,
in the studio, you got to see me back here dancing.
People tell me, I've had one person tell me that when the show comes on, like they were in an airport and a bunch of black people heard that music and started dancing in the airport. And I'm like, well, we have a funky tune then. All right. Welcome to Real News Live. This is a special Memorial Day edition. I have a special guest today, the original MarkZ. He's not as pretty as Jen, but he comes at things from a different perspective. And you all know him and you all love him. And I just thought I would pay him back for having me on Whiskey and Wisdom all the time by dragging him here on his day off to come on my show. But Mark, welcome. Thank you. And happy Memorial Day. How you doing?
Glad to be here on this Memorial Day.
Yeah. And, again, guys, it's important to remember this is not National Barbecue Day. This is Memorial Day. It's a day that we take time to honor the fallen that fought for the United States over the years. And unfortunately, I think that doesn't carry quite the honorific weight that it used to, because I think we're all waking up to who's really been running this country for the last 50 years. And there's been a lot of men who've fallen in wars that were completely unnecessary, especially since World War II. And you can even, have some discussions about that. But I think we shouldn't let that soil the memory of the men who fought and died for what they believed in and did fight against tyranny in World War II, especially. My dad was a World War II veteran, and we appreciate that. For everybody. Okay, one thing I want to get everybody up to date on is we are now broadcasting today to a new Rumble channel. And what's happened is Mark, thanks to Mark and Zach, they have helped us. Where is that? Why is it not coming up? They have helped. Okay, we're way behind. They've helped. This is the Rumble channel. They've helped me figure out ways to do better with Rumble. And one of them is that turns out I was broadcasting from a personal account, not from a real channel that was recognized by Rumble. So it didn't get any traction on Rumble. That's why we're having such a hard time building our audience over there. So now we are broadcasting on a brand new channel, Real News Live with Mike and Jen. I noticed a few of you guys have found it. Lady Diana 591 is a monthly supporter. Got a little red castle. Bahaji is now a monthly supporter. CFS Cap 1 is now a monthly supporter. So what you're going to have to do, unfortunately, is slide on over to Rumble and subscribe to the new channel, Real News Live with Mike and Jen. And also, if you do not subscribe, but follow that channel. And then, if you can subscribe for $5 a month with a little button at the bottom there on your computer, by all means do so. We really, truly, completely, totally appreciate that. And it's really the best way to, that went weird. It's really the best way to support the channel. And we appreciate each and every one of you. Okay. So I'm going to share with everybody what I have in terms of news. And it's really the same as last week, guys. Not a lot has changed over the weekend. We did see the post from TNT Tony on Saturday, and of course, Mark, you and I, we have our opinions about Tony, and I just wanted to kind of talk about it in the context of, I think Tony has some real sources, but I also think those are cabal sources, and I think the way Tony talks to his audience about you're going to have to go to a bank and you're going to have a trust to protect yourself and you're going to have to pay taxes, all that stuff. I think he's being fed information by the cabal side of things. And I don't know if I should say this, but I have a feeling, I don't know, should I say this? I think that both sides are still in existence. I don't believe all this, the white hats have won crap, because if they had, I don't think we'd be suffering the way we're suffering as a nation. And I think both sides still have some strength. I think both sides still have some skin in the game. And I think both sides need this to happen. So that's why it's going to happen. But the question is, will it come out the way the Nasara Jasara side of things, the Star Trek future that we all hope for and believe in? Or will it be, the cabal side of things where they steal half your money and try to trick you into stealing the rest of your money and that kind of thing, like Tony represents. But Tony did say, when I hear something, it will make me 99.9% sure that this is our weekend. And then later, he didn't tweet, but he posted on another channel, 99.9. So he got the information he was wanting, which I think has to do with bond commissions and distributions. Now, my bond guy, who I've called the bondholder, and I'm wrong to have said that because he's actually like a broker, a guy who's bringing in historic bonds and sending them onto the U.S. Treasury for monetization as part of this process, has been told, and he was told that he would, first of all, he was told he would be communicated with this weekend. That did not happen as far as I know, but he was told he gets paid out his commission on Wednesday. And I think that aligns with some information you had on your podcast this morning.
It does. No, I had a number of them expecting theirs as early as Tuesday, tomorrow. So I'm very, very hopeful. We'll see. And we'll keep track of it. I may know as early as tomorrow morning's podcast, maybe right after, but should be somewhere before 12 or 1 tomorrow when I find out. Eastern.
Right. So it'll be on your afternoon podcast if you get that information. And everybody, of course, slide over to the original MarkZ on YouTube and the original MarkZ.com to pick up all of the cool stuff that Mark is all about and doing. So if anybody has any questions for Mark, you can slide them on there. But here's the thing. We're both hearing that this bond stuff is scheduled to be paid out this week, whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday. And some guys may get paid Tuesday and some guys may get paid Wednesday, depending on how big a fish they are. I think the guy that I'm privileged to listen in on is not a big fish. So his payout's going to be, not much, 110, 120, 150 million dollars, something like that. Not a lot of money, Mark. But
yeah, I don't know how anybody can drive on that. Since economics is fit, you're going to need 300 million now to just get the grocery store.
Seriously, I went to the grocery store yesterday and I bought some Dr. Pepper, and which was on sale, by the way. Buy 2 8-packs and get 3 for free, and about 3 bags of groceries, 3 small plastic bags of groceries, and it was $100. I'm just like, are you effing kidding me? Seriously? So, Laura, I'm glad your dad served Merchant Marines at age 15 in World War II and also served in the Air Force. Good for him. So, if the bond payouts happen this week, then that would set us up for perhaps currency payouts the following week or something along those lines. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it takes, what do you think the estimate is? About 7 days between the bond people getting paid and us getting our notifications?
Yeah, that's going to be my guess. My guess is they'll need an accounting day or two in between. So let's just say they have indeed really started, people start seeing money. Then my guess would be somewhere in that first week of June to the end of that first week of June, if everything goes as planned. I mean, it could be faster, guys. They may have one heck of a system because they know that it's all going to leak. And as soon as you find out it's 100% with some odd people money, a number of people are going to rush out and buy currency. So they may try to compress that time. Right. Or they're going to lean really hard and we're not going to know. And they're going to sow enough disinformation to keep us guessing when they start paying bond folks.
Right. MJ Cardwell, good morning, Mike and Mark. My dad was a World War II vet as well. General Patton's Third Army, the Battle of the Bulge. Wow. That's amazing. So Patton was quite the leader. So if you don't believe me, just watch the film about him with George C. Scott. It's pretty incredible. So, yeah. And the thing is, Jen's schedule, the way she sees it is that we get notifications first. And they kind of want us to get through our appointments before they're public with a rate. So everybody who's watching Forex to see an Iraqi dinar rate, that's not going to happen for a week or two down the line after, say, we go in to do our exchanges. That's the way she sees it. How do you see it?
Well, we know that's how they did when Kuwait. It took almost 10 days before it showed on Forex. So does it make sense that they would try to bring us in as quietly as possible and then it would show on Forex? Yeah, there's a great chance.
Yeah, because that gets all the money in place for the economic recovery after the collapse. Because if they go to a gold standard, it'll be chaos. We won't, what if there's a redemption center in a local bank? You won't be able to go to that bank to do your exchange if the whole world knows about the collapse of the fiat system and the gold standard and all that, because everybody will be running on the banks. So it makes some more sense to do it in the background, I think, and to and to give us a week or two to get everything in place, because they are going to need us. I think after this is all over, they need us to go out and spend some money to get the economy rolling again. That's going to be, I think, a very important factor in all this stuff. Okay, guys, I'm just going to keep Mark for a few more minutes before I let him go on his holiday. Anybody have any questions? Mike Mix says hello. Regina says hello. Happy belated birthday, Regina, or as I like to call her, ReJJ, had her birthday yesterday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Regina. Happy birthday.
She's a great friend here in Vegas. I mean, she helped when we moved down here. She was so helpful. She came and stayed at our house and met my real estate agent to get the keys and pick me and Dave up at the airport. Regina and Jim are absolutely great people. There's Dave Barra. Hey, Mark. He says, hey,
Dave.
Guys, you have Mark buy the proverbial short gray beard hairs. You can ask any question you want. Thank you. Any question you want. Let's get a couple in here because we're only going to keep them about 10 more minutes. But then we're out of here. Let's go over to Rumble, see if there's any questions over there. Is Mark's mic working? Well, it seems to be working from where I can tell. I can hear him fine.
At the beginning, I had it further away, so it probably was not picking up at first.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hope you catch some fish tonight, Mark. That's a nice thing. Okay, Kathy Wilkins wants to know, bonds go before tiers 2, 3, and 4. Is that correct?
No, they go in tier 3.
Yeah. Because tier 2 is governments. Tier 3 is bonds and all the CMKX and all that stuff. It's got to be paid, right?
That's my understanding of it. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, my gut is that we're very, very close, folks. And I know it's been disappointing. I know we've been told this over and over and over again, but we're literally at a point, Mark, how I'd characterize it is we're at a point where they're just making excuses now for it not happening. There's no reasons why it's not happening. They're just making excuses because they're holding off for some other reason they're not going to tell us.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes good and proper sense. And depending on who's running it and pulling the trigger, well, honestly, if it's the bad side, they would rather the system crash because then they get to look like your rescuer and scoop in with your CBDCs, et cetera. But they will still need Iraq, Vietnam, et cetera. They're still going to need these countries to revalue. They are going to need the dollars from it. Both sides need this.
Yeah.
The question is what to do with money right after. For the evil side, a complete crash is much easier because that means they're going to walk away with more assets. You and I, we're protected. Joe Blow out there that knows nothing, he's screwed.
Yeah, they're going to really be screwed. Christine Packer would like to know, will local banks be able to redeem and exchange?
Yeah, some of them are going to have to send off. My suggestion is going to be wait for instructions and numbers so that you can go to a facility that can proof your funds there, put them in. You don't have to send them off. You don't have to wait. We call them redeeming centers, redeeming banks, whatever terminology you want to use. I have been told repeatedly that 90% of those of us in the States will have a redeeming facility within 50 miles. That can actually prove the currency and take care of it right there. So I know a lot of people are concerned. Don't be. And honestly, I don't think it would be smart to exchange very close to home unless you're planning on moving after you. Last thing you want is all of your neighbors, and especially in a small town, people talk right, wrong, indifferent. So the last thing you want to know is everybody knows to come beat on your door when they want some funds or donations, or they know whose lawn to go trip on a dog turd or whatever, so they can sue you.
Yeah, if the old system's in place. And I do agree with you. I think it's worth the 50-mile drive to a redemption center and do it there. They will be probably, certified and guarded and things like that. Okay. MarkZ and Mike, regarding notifications, the Promise MAGA, would you think that we would be notified individually and not necessarily the 800 numbers to keep it releasing quietly before the chaos? How do you see that?
How do you see it, Mike? What do you think? For me, I think in an ideal world, they would be able to send, but they don't have everybody's email. So they're
No.
going to have to use, and the banks are desperate for our business, so they're going to have to use things like dinar recaps, Intel Chronicles, some of those different ones to get the news out there in their mailing lists.
Yep. And I think so. They're going to have to get the word out publicly, but you got to understand it's public, but it's not really public because 99.9% of the population isn't paying attention to any of this and wouldn't believe it if they even knew about it.
How many of you guys have had conversations, friends, neighbors, or whatever, they tell you you're crazy, they don't want to hear it? So, I mean, have you had much success? I mean, come on. You already know how they have kept this thing hushed. People won't believe it when it happens.
I had a friend, the late Daryl, who was a great guy and passed away sadly about 2014. But he was a wealth manager, and I was explaining this thing to him, and he's like, "Well, that's not the way currencies work." And I'm like, "Maybe not right now, but when everything collapses, that's the way they're going to work." So it's just, but I just couldn't talk to him. He wouldn't listen to me because he was imbued into the old system. Brody Miller, hearing Iraq goes to tier A, B from tier C. I think he's talking about the WTF on Friday, the 31st of May. Is this true? And what do we think of any changes? I don't know what that refers to exactly, but they pretty much are in the WTF. Look, guys, everything is ready to go. Everything. These dates are just excuses to hold things off because politically they're not ready to move yet. Militarily, they're not ready to move yet, if that in fact is all true, which I tend to think it is.
Now, having some contacts that work with you, the terminology we use is QFS or quantum, but bringing the tech up to speed and working with legacy banks. I mean, I know what they were doing last week. So for me, I know logistically, as much as I want to believe we were ready some time ago and they should have, I know that the banking system wasn't ready. They had some very successful tests over the past week, though, so I feel confident we're ready now. I just hate it because we find it's really easy to have 20/20 vision when you're looking backwards.
Yep. Bought my currency off eBay. Will they know? Well, yes, they will, Kenneth, but you got to keep paying attention to shows like this and dinar recaps and these other sites that we have no interest in whatsoever. Do you mark?
Probably the only Intel site out there that, I mean, I consider recaps to be the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
None of them are perfect, but I consider them to be the best of the bunch.
Yep. Do you know who Pascal Najati is? I've never heard that name.
Yes.
Any thoughts?
He is a brutal truther, and I think about 80% of his stuff is 100% spot on. 80%, maybe even 90%.
MarkZ and Mike, do you think the White Hats are folding off for the next election because they think they can win? Well, let me just put it this way:
They're stupid if they are.
If they are, they're stupid, and they don't give a shit about you and me, the American people who are there supposed to be serving. And I would remind them what happened in the French Revolution. Okay, I would remind them what happened in the French Revolution to the guys who were in charge and should have done something and didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
99% of people I've tried to tell say it's illegal, that it's a scam, that Iraq will never revalue. I mean, it's ridiculous. Iraq's currency should already be in the $2 or $3 just based on all the oil they have. It's been artificially held at this ridiculous rate for a decade.
Yeah, and I just, I did a little math because, depending on which publication you read, whether it was Fortune or Forbes or whatever, we know that Warren Buffett disclosed, I think it was about 34 million in the Iraqi currency. And if you do the math, I mean, he stands, if it goes for about $4 to pocket about 1.7 billion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, all those are, you are crazy. I mean, you're literally telling me I'm as crazy as the Berkshire Hathaway guy that's considered
Warren Buffett.
Greatest investor of time, even if you don't like him as a person. They are telling you they're smarter than Warren Buffett at investing.
Yeah, and Donald Trump, who also has $30 million of his own dollars invested in dinar. And think about this: if a million dinar is $1,100, how much dinar does Trump have? If he spent $30 million of his own money on it, he bought
it for about $800 a million.
He bought it for what?
About $800 a million.
Oh, God.
That's
Oh.
bigger numbers. That's what you get. It went about as low as 780 or whatever. But at the time he did it, I did the math. It was right at $800 a million. So just take your whatever million, say if it might be easier to do it by 10 millions, but let's say he bought 17 million, 20 million, 30 million, whatever it is, and then just do the math. And doesn't take long to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, literally you're saying you're smarter than Warren Buffett and Donald Trump financially, if they tell you that stuff. Chris Iverson, our Batman, I heard the exact same thing regarding having the system being tested and finally being ready as of last Friday. So he agrees with you that the banking system he heard is ready. And Chris knows some stuff. He knows some people. So yeah. Big Dave's Peanut 9, Mike and Mark. I truly see this happening like Kuwait, a big announcement that won't happen till next year, and they pull the trigger hours later.
What he said.
Matt. Okay. All right, Mark, it's 10:57. We'll get you in and out of here in about 3 more minutes. Ron Davidoff or Davidoff. I prefer Davidoff. Davidoff is more sophisticated than Davidoff. Now repeat after me. I told you so. Good for you. And Ron is a guy who's gonna make a few bucks off this too. Bill wants to know if you're doing an afternoon podcast today. No, he's boring.
Yeah, they voted me off, Bill. I felt really bad when they voted me off the island for tonight and told me to go fishing.
Are you doing any traveling here coming up? You going to go anywhere?
Somewhere over the 4th. I want to make it back, and then I would like to do an appearance in Belhaven, North Carolina, towards the coast. I am planning in September to I'll be stateside for a week. So the goal is to come see you, go to Florida, do something in that Orlando area, maybe Fort Lauderdale, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
There
is an alien event here in October, if you want to come for that too. It's a little bit later, but yeah. Rainbow Sparkles. Mark, I'm so glad when you're around to balance Mike. How are you two friends? Craziness. You don't know what you don't know, Mike. Well, there ain't much I don't know, lady. So there ain't much I don't know. If I don't know it, it's because I don't want to know it. How are we friends? Well, we share a lot of common interests, and we
usually it's Asian women. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. No. I'll tell you what it is for me is I recognize the goodness in this guy the first time I listened to him. And there aren't that many people in the world that I can say that about. So
no, there aren't many. And I mean, we all have our scars. It's what do you do the next day when you get up?
Scott Ferguson, Wednesday is going to be huge for us all. Scott, is that Ben Diamond? Is that Ben Diamond, the evil bad guy from Magic City? That's got to be what that profile pic is there, Scott. Yeah, well, Wednesday, there's a lot of people saying Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's get one more in. Joe D. Mark, I know a couple who bought their currency from a group that holds it until the RV. They don't have a receipt. Is there groups out there that are legitimate? Not ones that behave that way, I don't think, Mark.
I would be surprised, Jody. I'm not going to rule it out. I can tell you that there are some folks that work closely with Treasury, and they have been monitoring, collecting from, and I'm not saying that one's illegitimate, but there have been a couple of illegitimate ones like that where they have seized it and holding it for the people that put in the dollars. So hopefully either it is a legitimate group, although that is odd. They may have purchased it like that and done it so they can keep it in a platform, which means it can be traded on and they can make more dollars. So I'm not going to completely rule it out.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I found out about the dinar through a process like that wasn't directly linked to currencies. But I realized what these guys were doing was they were collecting a bunch of money. This is in 2011. And they were good guys. They were collecting a bunch of money, and they were going to go buy Iraqi dinar because they thought it was going to happen on June 30th, 2011, which was the original date that I got. And that was their plan. It didn't quite work. D. Rambo says, I have a friend who invested in the Kuwaiti dinar, and when it revalued, he bought a house in Florida. Nice. I hope he bought it cash. And we're going to slide over to Rumble for one quick one. Joanne Patton, Little Red Castle, $5 a month supporter. Thank you, Joanne. Jen has told me in a private reading I will be going to a small town 30 miles from my house to do my exchange. Well, that makes sense. That's the way things have been set up, I think. So, all right, guys, thank you for being here for a quick update. Mark, thank you so much for being here. Guys, everybody who sees this, get over to Rumble, subscribe, follow Real News Live with Mike and Jen, which is the new channel that we're streaming to now. We have to rebuild our following there. So if everybody that's on Rumble following Real News Live could follow Real News Live with Mike and Jen, the channel, that would be great. And the $5 a month subscriptions are also great. We appreciate that. I'll still get the subscriptions to the account, but I want them on the channel. We want everything to run through the channel, because the more likes, subscribes, and follows we get on the channel, the more Rumble will notice us, and the more they will put us up for other people that haven't seen us yet to see us. So, Mark, thanks for being here for the launch. I appreciate it very much. You have a fantastic Memorial Day. I'm going to broil some hot dogs later because they don't allow us to barbecue here. So corn on the cob and hot dogs in the oven, but it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome.
Buen provecho.
All right, and I'll see everybody back here. There's no Toxically Masculine Tuesday tomorrow night. I'm going out with a patron who's been very generous. He's in here in Vegas. I'm going to go have a drink and some dinner with him. And Jen and I will be back on Wednesday for Tell the Truth Wednesday. And then I am off to Pine Bush, New York. Come out and see me there in New York at the Pine Bush UFO Fair. Love you guys. Thanks very much. Peace